Hey, this is Tom Jacobs from tdjacobs.com and also healingsuicide.com. I'm an evolutionary astrologer and a channel and energy worker, a medium, do all kinds of different healing work and spiritual teaching. This brief video, our experience of living in the world is changing. Right now, we're having a temporary situation that's causing a lot of, disruption. And today is March 13th. If I can know what day it is. And also it will continue. We don't know how bad it's going to get, but we do know that we need to pay attention to certain things in different ways with this COVID-19 or coronavirus situation. And I thought I would do just once in a while a little brief update on my kind of bird's eye view thoughts on what's going on, and in case those thoughts and perspectives can give you something positive to work with the fear that can be so seductive to give into and let take sway in our minds and then our hearts. I have a lot of different thoughts on this stuff, so I'm going to break it down into a handful of short videos. But what I want to cover today is first of all, kind of like first of all, I don't portray a medical professional on YouTube. So take care of yourself, do what you need to do. But I want to, again, try to give you some perspectives that may help you understand the bigger evolutionary picture so that you can, not go into fear whenever where you turn, you might find fear. Okay. Number one, yes, we are all one. So, yeah, we're all in this together. Sun recently conjuncted Neptune, right? And then there's this Virgo full moon. So Sun on Neptune together puts a highlight on the fact that we're all connected, and then Virgo full moon. But wait a minute, I need to be discerning and take care of myself. Yes, it's true. Yes, we are all one. It's easy to forget that, or to let it be a vague spiritual principle that some of us return to daily or as often as we can to try to put faith in our collective evolution and try to like feed something positive in the collective, and to try to evolve into compassionate loving people, and get over our petty baloney. So yes, number one, yeah, we are all connected. When I saw a list of the countries affected, my mind did a double take, because what was it, China, Italy, Iran, and then some other countries. And I was like, well, what category did China, Italy, Iran, and a bunch of European countries fit into together, And so I guess it was the inclusion of Iran in there, right? I'm used to hearing people talk about China-US relations, etc., but that kind of thing, of it affects everybody. We are all humans together. So that's point number one. This is part of the learning and the teaching, to realize with all the divisive stuff that's been coming up over thousands of years, but really escalating the last few years with tribal concerns and tribal fears, stuff about immigration and political stuff and the rise of the far right. A lot of this has to do with intolerance toward each other. So yes, we are all one. Number two, this is part of our Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn learning. Yes, it was January 12th, about 2 months ago, when the conjunction for reals took place. But if you use an orb of 5 degrees, let's say March 2019 to November 2020. So we're still in this, I would call it this kind of zone of influence, where these outer planets are asking us to really evaluate how strong we are, who's in charge. I have a series of those Pluto-Saturn videos here on YouTube. One of them is longer, from a year and a half ago, setting all this up. And it's called an empowering view. A lot of you have seen that, because I think it's one of the videos I have that has the most views. Something like 20,000 or something. Quite a lot of people have seen it. But then there was a series of updates in January where anyway, you can look that up on my channel. I just did like little specific topics for a few minutes here and there. But in that, one of them is about how the dwarf planet Ceres was conjunct that conjunction. So it was actually a stellium. So we talked about Pluto-Saturn. Astrologers talked about Pluto-Saturn, Pluto-Saturn, Pluto-Saturn. Ceres was in there. As it happens, March 13th, 2020, registration for my festival of Ceres, called Cerealia, Finding Ceres Within, is open. It starts on April 19th and goes 2nd. 2 weeks of you working with channeled material and journaling and unlocking things about care and love, how you were taught self-care, and how you were or were not mentored, and how that affected your self-esteem. all these kinds of things. Where does love come from? Is part of you waiting for someone else to love you? How can you be responsible now and really let your mentor parent figures from the past off the hook? So today the registration opens. It starts in 5 weeks. You can see all that at tdjacobs.com. I'll put a link in the description of the video to that. But Ceres, as a dwarf planet, it was promoted from asteroid in 2006 by the International Astronomical Union, right? This is the international body that will, designate if some astronomical body is going to be considered in this category or that category. And so when Eris came into the picture, cited in 2003, given an alphanumeric designation in 2005, and then officially recognized as worthy of being included as a planet in 2006. It can't be a planet, they said. So we're going to create a new designation, dwarf planet. But wait a minute, then Pluto can't be a planet because of these technical specifications at this category. So Pluto gets demoted, and that's what everyone was distracted by in 2006. Pluto's no longer a planet, right? And then you have evolutionary astrologers and some other astrologers saying, we're going to keep treating it like a planet, don't worry about it. But the real news, as far as I'm concerned, was the promotion of Ceres from asteroid to dwarf planet. Because if Pluto can't be a planet, it has to be a dwarf planet because Eris, which means strife and discord, comes into the combo. Then Ceres can't be an asteroid anymore, promoted to dwarf planet. So what that means is that our obsession with Plutonian garbage, our obsession with Plutonian excesses needs to be put down a little bit or shelved a little bit, and our need to focus on Ceres issues to strengthen our awareness of this archetype needs to be raised. So for me, that was the real juice behind Pluto's demotion 14 years ago now. Okay, so yeah, so number 2, Ceres was with those things, with Pluto-Saturn. Now Ceres has moved on, but the point being that Ceres is about, you might think it's about mothering or parenting, but it's really about caregiving, nurturing, love as doing things for people, providing, mentoring, and these things include parenting. But if you foster kids or you've adopted kids or you've helped a sick relative for 2 months while her leg healed or whatever after surgery or an illness, that's a Ceres way of living. So it's not literally about children birthing children, but it is about care and love and nurturing, providing, protecting, mentoring, nurturing, all this stuff. So anyway, so that's part of the Pluto-Saturn thing, challenging you, who's taking care of you? So I did a profile on Bernie Sanders because he has Ceres on the galactic center square his nodal axis. So Ceres is a big deal for him in many lifetimes, trying to provide in a big way, Sagittarius, right? And right now, this recording, March 13th, he's not the front runner for the nomination for the Democratic Party's presidential candidacy, but the upswell of support for him is in part because everyone else is looking around being like, who's taking care of us? Wait, I think I want Medicare for all. And he wrote the bill. So Ceres plays prominently in his function, right? And in the way he's been received. And Ceres was the most important goddess. The last thing I'll say about this part. Ceres is the most important goddess for the Roman populace in ancient times because she's the harvest or grain goddess. And she enables living together in civilization. We don't have to wander anymore in smaller groups, potentially not safe. We can build a city with walls and hide behind it and store grain. So Ceres is super important to the people. That's what I'm getting at with the Medicare for All thing. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, I think this coronavirus thing. Oh, so sorry. Number 2 on Ceres still. Who's in charge? Saturn, Pluto, Ceres, and Capricorn. Who's responsible? Who should be in charge? Who's looking out for your best interests? And even Trump's some of Trump's diehard conservative supporters are looking around saying, "You did this wrong." Like they can't parrot his talking points because he's quite obviously not qualified, not prepared, not mature, not interested in public service, not interested in helping people. And so he's dumbfounded because, you know, he's obsessing about the stock market numbers, which he interprets as the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which tracks the share volume and price of the 30 biggest companies by market cap in the US. That's not the stock market. Anyway, he's completely unqualified. And it's been abundantly clear for years. And now people are like, no, I'm concerned about my health and my neighbors and my community and my kids and my parents. So now we are all one, and the person that we've looked to be in charge of us and take care of us is absolutely unqualified. So there's another Ceres, Pluto, Saturn, and Capricorn. Who should be in charge? So for some people, the thing is also, let's rethink who we want to be in charge and what our priorities are regarding policies. Because if we're not all one, and we pick somebody who exemplifies that to lead us, we're screwed. And that's what we're living through right now in the US. So that's number 3. 2 was a series, but number 3, oh my God. Number 3, your relationship with fear. One of those Pluto-Saturn brief update videos is about that, on your relationship with fear. That's one of the challenges from March 2019 to November 2020. It's a challenge for your whole human life, as long as you're human. But I just want to point out that, you know, I said earlier at the top of the video, it's easy to be seduced by fear. And most people are living in their brains, and the brain is on the lookout for threats, which is why I encourage you strongly to get grounded, get in your body, deal with your feelings in your body, deal with your, you know, listen, but stay grounded, so that you're not swept away by what's going on in the world around you. So a tool for that, I have a million tools. The first one is the free 13-minute grounding meditation linked from my homepage. Look for, you'll see a bunch of pictures on my site. Look for the forest trail that says grounding meditation. It's a green picture. Look for that. You can download that for free. You do have to put your email in, but you can download it for free. It's just to get it sent to you. I don't use your email for anything through that. So then I have a bunch of other channel meditations and energy work things and program and all kinds of things, including the 2 MP3 set, Increasing Immunity, which is about emotional and energetic immunity, your spiritual energetic strength as a being, which will affect your physical immunity. And it's 2 MP3s. The first part is a talk or a teaching from Ascended Master Djehuty, who's also known as Hermes, Thoth, Saint Germain, Merlin. And the second part is, so he explains immunity from his perspective. The second part is a channel meditation. So no, I'm encouraging you to check that out through my site from the channeled audio page. It's called Increasing Immunity. I'll put the link to it in this description too. The 2 MP3s total like an hour. It's a little time investment, but I think it's really important to understand how we are affected by the energies in the world and how that can decrease our sense of strength, right? Because the other thing I wanted to get into, this is going to be a longer video, because this whole thing about, oh wait, see, I have 2 big topics. I don't want to do both. Maybe I'll do both. So let's notice, okay, we're going to do the next big topic. Number 3 or number 4, I don't know, number 4. Yeah, I'll do them both. It'll just be a longer video. I just realized how they connect together. Sports events, leagues, seasons, group events in a number of countries, right? And then here in the US, within a day or so, we had a bunch of announcements. The March Madness, NCAA, the professional baseball team, National Baseball League, like suspending operations, the basketball league, the whatever, the everybody, right? I just want to make a note on that for a moment, because a lot of people in their first or root chakra derive a sensibility from community connection and national connection and group identity. So we derive strength. This is I've mentioned this before briefly elsewhere, but you know, when you're somebody who's not into sports and you don't understand why all these people are like so happy when their team wins and where their team loses, it's a root chakra identification. It's a tribal group connector. Some people do it with politics, some with sports, some with religious communities, some with I don't know, causes they're fighting for or protesting or something. But these things that bind us together keep us connected in our root chakra. People do it through nature and avoid humans, not feeling connected to people, but like feeling connected to animals or nature. But there's a real need in our root chakra to know that we're connected and we're part of life. So what I want to say to you, and this is related to that increasing immunity thing, so I'm encouraging you to check that out, because it's important for you if you're feeling in some way disconnected. Oh, the other thing was not going to work. If you're working from home, or you're a student and you're studying from home, or your school's closed, like these are also connector things, and people can get lonely and feel isolated and disconnected and certain. So I want to say to you, do something proactive to invest in your root chakra. One affirmation is, and understand this coronavirus stuff is temporary, but one affirmation to work with, I kind of think of it as the two parts together, like two sentences. The first one is, but you can break them up and swap them around. The first one is, the entire human collective is my community. And then the entire human species is my family. Because even if you, let's say without the coronavirus stuff, you feel somewhat disconnected in certain ways, this is a good thing to do. And that's where I started to use it with clients who feel disconnected or feel like they don't belong anywhere. When you are out and about and you see another person, you remember, oh, this person's part of my collective. The human species, the entire human species is my family. The entire human collective is my community. I belong here. So there's that kind of approach to it where you can consciously invest in the strength of your root chakra by things like that, by doing things like that. You know, on second thought, I'm also going to put the lower chakra affirmations that I give out to people in the comments. I'll just spell them all out. I think there's 4 for each of the lower 3 chakras that I've channeled that I give out to people. And the idea is to put attention on the lower chakras. So I'm just saying to you, if you feel disconnected and part of you wants to go into fear mode, choose to get grounded, put cords into the earth, clear out others' energies, invest in your root chakra so that you don't drift into, you know, your mind's tendency toward going into fear. So that's topic number 4. Number 5 flows from that, and it is a larger commentary on a larger situation, which I've referenced off and on since, I don't know, for the last 10 years. And it's what people call 2012. It is not irrelevant because it's over. It was actually the end of one process and the beginning of another. I have a dozen or so videos related to this from 10 or 9 years ago about this. I encourage you to check out. So I'm going to add this video to the 2012 playlist as well. But the whole idea is that, well, one of the ideas is that we go from living in the age of Pisces, this kind of, and this has to do with precession of the equinoxes, where the Earth's axis points towards certain parts of the sky, parts of the zodiac, or towards certain constellations. And the precession of the equinoxes, precession means it goes backward, right? And so before the age of Pisces was the age of Aries, right? So then in the age of Pisces, part of the collective ethos is to blend together and merge together, to come together. And for approximately the last 2,100 years, that's what we've been doing. It's kind of been part of the backdrop of human development of consciousness on Earth, including human development. It's kind of like the set on the stage and then all the stuff's happening in front of it, kind of the backdrop. Well, we're in a transition from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. So the ethos of Pisces is blend in, go with the flow, merge you, so you realize we are all one, that we're all connected, that we're all in this together. That's a kind of ethos or motivation or aesthetic, almost, that's the wrong word, of the age of Pisces. So you have things like compassion is the answer. You have, just, the rise of Christianity, even, like that's like kind of a Piscean Age thing. And many other things that have us going with the flow and perhaps finding it easy not to individuate. So one of the things about the age of Aquarius transition that the coronavirus actually serves from a higher viewpoint, and I'm not downplaying the reality on the ground. I'm not saying ignore it. I'm saying if this bird's eye view supports you in understanding the larger machinations of what's happening, then that's why I'm offering it. But the age of Aquarius says, I need to individuate. So therefore, I need to create community that works for me, but I need to create community and a shared vision of the future and work with others once I know who I am. And I cannot know who I am fully if I'm not individuated. To individuate, I have to unplug from what I'm connected to, or at least some things I'm connected to. So if you are self-quarantining, or you're just feeling like you should stay home, or work said work from home, or the schools are closed and your kids are home, part of us will have that sense of loneliness and being curtailed that, especially in America, we're not used to. Lots of Western cultures, we're not used to that lack of freedom, or that loss of the, perception of loss of freedom. But it serves several purposes. One is the Ceres self-care purpose of, who do you think's in charge of you? How can you take care of yourself? Number one, what I talked about with the Cerealia opening today, the registration opening. But the second thing is, you have to unplug from certain group associations in order to have the mental space to find out who you really are. I even saw a note, a Washington Post article, I haven't read it yet, and it was during a particular pandemic kind of thing, or some kind of disease spread, Isaac Newton, as a student, self-quarantined and came up with some great ideas because he was, kind of insulated and focused and not on the normal routine. His creativity was boosted. So you have this opportunity to get to know yourself, to tap into your own inner Uranian Aquarian style insights, if you don't have the noise of the world or other people in your space as much. It's a secret to Uranian Aquarian living, or with Uranus. Sometimes everything is noise, like the energy or the actual noise, or what people are talking about, how they repeat themselves, like that's noise. And to clear it, you can't find your genius until you clear the decks of extraneous noise. That's why the archetype of the inventor is removed from society in a shed behind a house at the edge of town so the person can think. So if you are finding yourself challenged in being more alone, or feeling somewhat more disconnected, or somewhat less connected, understand it's temporary. Understand we're all in this together. Understand that your brain will want you to believe that slipping into fear, being seduced by fear, is the only answer, because chaos will ensue and who knows what's going to happen next. But also realize that you need to figure out more about who you are. Look at your feelings. Journal about your feelings. Scan your body. Massage your feet. Do self-care things. Pay attention to how your body experiences your whole day, how your emotions change throughout a day. It's not dissimilar to a Mercury retrograde time when I say to people, to understand the motivations you typically carry that may need upgrading, Mercury retrograde comes in to make the execution of your plans fuzzy or not possible. So then you have the opportunity to look into what motivates you in the first place. So who do you think you are? The Pluto-Saturn Ceres thing says, who do you think is in charge of your life and why? If you think it's not you, why have you given your power away? So look at yourself now. Spend that time with yourself. Be willing to slow down a little and know that it's temporary, but we're all in this process together. And yet, we'll spread some or a lot. We don't know yet. And yes, in that process, people will get sick and some people will pass away. Yes, that will happen. Welcome to Earth. But it doesn't mean you need to spin out of control. But you're the only person who can keep yourself grounded and sane, even as people's brains seduce them into going with the fear, perhaps with panic, so that nobody can find any toilet paper. Okay, so that's all my stuff for today. I may come back and do a briefer than this updates over the next few weeks, but I just wanted to give you some ideas on, yeah, because there's another one about the stock market. I'll save that one. All right. Anyway, thanks for your time and energy. Check out what I'm up to at tdjacobs.com. Be well.